Welcome back to the vlog, guys. Today is the day that I reveal my not so unique swap that's going into the FRS. So I'm not going to hold it back. Here it is. We are going with a 1JZ VVTi out of a JZX 110 from Japan. Now before you start yelling at me, why not a 2J? Let me just go through a little bit of reasoning other than the biggest obvious one, which is this is about $1,000 cheaper than a 2J would be. The other big thing is I like that this has a single turbo, as I do want to run the stock turbo setup for the first year, and this really simplifies it for me. I do have a turbo rebuild for the stock turbo, so it'll last me just fine, but we'll get on with that later in the video. The other thing that drew me towards it is, of course, the big difference between this and the 2JZ is that this has a shorter stroke, so it's a little bit more rev happy in the stock form. All I'm really doing to it is some seals and gaskets and paint just to make it look a little bit more pretty, but nothing major, so this was the better option for me that way. Also, for the first year, I plan to run the stock ECU. Next year, I will go with a standalone, as well as most likely a turbo manifold and a big single turbo right up here. Some of the upgrades that I do plan to do on the motor before the next season starts, I'll try to remember most of it. Like I said, turbo rebuild, which is actually right in this box. That's the Twisted Motion rebuild kit. That takes it from a ceramic wheel and internals to steel, so it's a little bit more trustworthy. Usually these turbos, it's the CT15B from Toyota, but they use a ceramic wheel, so they don't like much over 14 PSI. That's good for about 25, and I think I'm going to run 15 or 16, so that'll be plenty safe for me. I'm also running the UpFab J-pipe delete kit, so this will all go away. It'll really be simplified on this side of the motor. I have the drift motion delete kit for the power steering and the AC, so that'll leave just these four here, and we got a smaller belt that's actually right there. Again, simplifying things in the front. Over here, not much. I do have a drive-by-wire delete, so that'll make it just cable driven on this throttle body. And once again, like I said on the other things, it just really simplifies it all, and that's what I'm going for this year. I want the smallest amount of problems that I can get, but I know a swap's a big thing, and that might be a little bit much to ask for. We'll find out. Moving on to the other things, I want to go through some of the parts that I have stacked here, as well as what's on the way, what I plan on getting, and we'll give you a little update on what's going on with the car. So, we come to the floor. I have some race equip harnesses. Wow, I really can't talk right now. Race equip harnesses, that's pretty self-explanatory. We come over to this part. Now, White Line, I want to shout out to them. I want to shout out to Mishimoto and also ACT, as all three of those companies thus far are sponsoring me for this next year. So White Line, we just got some bracing products. I've ran a lot of their bushings in the past and love what I've seen so far. Mishimoto, of course, none other than a radiator. I will also have their oil catch can installed on this car. I've got a sensor housing for my water temp sensor from them. Just a lot of little bits and pieces from Mishimoto. Always a great product there. Come down, have my intercooler kit. That is just a CX Racing kit. We have all the piping and whatnot in this box. So this is for all the coolant lines to go to the radiator. And then we have all the intercooler piping down there. I do plan on powder coating all those things to one color. And back over on this side, I have a Oribachis Edition steering wheel from NRG. I really liked my NRG before, no problems with that, so why fix it if it ain't broke? We have a throttle cable to go from drive-by-wire to the cable driven on this new motor. And then we have a pedal that we're going to chop up and kind of combine with the stock pedal to make it look pretty down there. And we come over here, just some little gizmos, a hook for the steering wheel for the roll cage, and a dual stage boost controller, so that'll be some fun. I'll go over that in a later video. A bunch of Pro Sport gauges. So I have a wideband, a water temp sensor, and a new boost gauge that are all the same color setup there. I mentioned earlier, this is the turbo rebuild kit. So this switches us to that steel internal kit right there from Twisted Motion out of Las Vegas. Hopefully that's a great product and treats me well. We of course have the infamous transmission out of this one's out of a G35, but this is the CD09. I don't have the strongest one. This is a CD01 out of a 2004, but I'm not pushing insane power and this should do the job for me. Shout out to Dustin for hooking me up on that. Really appreciate it. That should do well in the car. This, no big deal. We go through a lot of tires, but beginning next season I want to run some Achilles, see how those treat me. I'm actually running the size that the Pro 2 guys have to run, so you'll see 255, 35, 18. And hopefully I like that tire because I'd like to stick with one brand over the next year. We'll see what happens there. So that'll give you a big overview of what I already have. I don't want to ruin it all, but it's kind of laid out in front of you. Now, things I have on the way, I'll probably forget a bunch of it because there's a lot of it, but we'll try here. I do have the Collins adapter kit to go from the CD09 to the 1J. As I said, ACT is sponsoring me, so I'm getting the ACT clutch setup for this setup. And we'll go through that once that comes. I have I want to say it's CBF, but I have a shifter kit that's coming to shorten it from up here to sit right about here, so it sits in the stock location in my car, or pretty close. I would have went with the Serial 9, but they're always on back order. I'm sure it's because it's a great product, but I don't want to be one of those last minute guys. I want my car to get done as soon as possible. And this other kit that I went with has great reviews, and I've seen a lot of usage out of it, so I'm not too worried. A very big thing, there's been a little confusion with the company providing my my metal for the roll cage, but that'll be here in about a week. So Evan and Colton will get started on that. I know it's been sitting a little bit, and that's why the videos took so long to upload. I know there were a couple before this, but I edited them all at one time, so a lot of stuff there. I'm probably gonna buy a set of wheels. We're just gonna go with some Fordovans in a color that's undisclosed. It'll go really well with my new wrap, but then I'll have about 10 wheels, so I don't have to rely on the tire changer so much. That'll be another thing to rest easy on. Another thing I have on the way, of course, the fuel system is important. I have an AEM fuel pump that'll be coming, going into the tank. I have to run a return line system from the 1J to my tank, and I'm keeping the stock tank for this year. A lot more things will change next year. We'll upgrade a lot of that stuff. Some of the electronic side of things to go with the stock ECU. I will be doing the HKS, I believe it is, fuel cut defender. So that will let me run more PSI without the ECU freaking out at me. I'm also going to run a BR rev limiter because I'm a little child and I want to make fire for everybody. I also have a set of Spall fans coming for the radiator. I know there's a lot of cooling issues that people will run into with these motors, and I don't want to be one of those people. So I'm going with probably way more than I need, but better safe than sorry, of course. Now there's a lot of other things that I'm sure I forgot. It's a lot of things to remember. There's a lot of things on the way. It's really like Christmas every time I open a package, because at this point I really have lost track of all the things that I've ordered and that need to be ordered. So there's not too much more, thankfully. All of my checks are sitting right here in front of me. Makes me cry sometimes, but it is what it is. Next season is going to be freaking awesome. Hopefully, as long as it runs well most of the time. But like I said, I'm really trying to simplify as much as I can on this build for this season, and then we'll dive into the more technical stuff for next season. But I'll be used to this, and I'm really almost doubling my torque from last year, so it'll be a good time. And the best part is all the Jay-Z sounds, and you hear plenty of that. So that should really wrap it up, guys. Once again, I want to say thank you very much for watching the videos. Stay tuned. I'm going to be recording a lot of, obviously, installing all these parts and dropping the motor in and the little problems we run into and how we solve them. So if you like all the content, well, you haven't seen it yet, you'll like all the content. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.